Hey everyone, it's Richard Metalfan here, bringing you guys a brand new 2019 album review. And today we're going to be looking into the new album from Slipknot entitled We Are Not Your Kind, which came out today through Roadrunner Records. Now, at this point, everybody should probably at least heard of Slipknot. And these guys have been in the game since the mid-90s. For me, Slipknot are one of those first few bands that, for me, really got me heavily into metal when I was like 13 or so. Oh, I remember first time I hearing them was probably around 2006, 2007. It was around the time they heard their song Before I Forget, or Duality from Volume 3, and I was like, damn, I want to check out all their other stuff. It was great. I mean, going back to their landmark self-titled debut album, which came out in 1999, which hard to believe that album is now 20 years old. And that album is just great. It was around that time where they had the whole new metal thing. And Corey Taylor's voice, he does like a lot of the screams and stuff. He does like a lot of like rap being a bit. It's just like spitfire right there. And I feel like he could like keep up with like Eminem or something. It was a great debut album. I mean, old school Slipknot still goes hard. But in my opinion, I feel like their best album is the one after that being Iowa, which came out in 2001, which is, in my opinion, probably their best work. It's just full of aggression and pissed off. So has that new metal thing, but just more, also has like a lot more death metal feel to it. With songs like People Equal Shit, Disaster Pieces, Heretic Anthem. It's just great. But then they took a little hiatus, and then in 2004 they released Volume 3, the Subliminal Verses, which I feel like is a little bit of different compared to the first two. Has a little bit more melody and a lot more atmosphere, I guess, if you can call it like that. And then they took another hiatus, and then in 2008 they put out All Hope Is Gone, which is kind of different a little bit. And funny enough, I actually saw Slipknot twice on that whole All Hope Is Gone cycle in 2008 and in 2009. But then they went on a hiatus for yet again, but some tragedy struck in 2010 when bassist and founding member Paul Gray died from a drug overdose, and which was rough. And then in 2013, drummer Joey Jordison was fired from the band. And then, of course, they were been replaced by against me, drummer Jay Weinberg and Alexandra Ventrello. I think that's who he is. And then, of course, last year they put out the new song All Out Life, which is a great song. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like self-titled a little bit, and a bit of Iowa, when it was released on Halloween. And it's not even on the album, but it's like featured on like the Japanese version, which I'll talk about that song late in a little bit. And then it was around later in the year where Chris Fane was fired from the band because of like a lawsuit, and I don't know if he actually recorded on the album or not before this whole thing happened. I don't know. Oh, and he's replaced by some unknown percussionist, as some fans refer to him as Tortilla Man. But yeah, here we are in 2019 with the band's 6th full-length album. I mean, their previous album, The Great Chapter, I thought was a really good album, probably their best since Iowa. But does this album live up to The Great Chapter a little bit? In my honest opinion, it kind of has. I mean, this album has like just the typical Slipknot stuff, full of aggression. Also have some melody, and they actually do some kind of like different stuff with this album. Production-wise, this album is pretty great. I mean, Slipknot always has pretty good production. The voice vocals, I mean, Corey Taylor can do no wrong. He has like just the same like screams that he does, and he has like full of passion and full of emotion with his clean vocals. And I really think he is one of the best singers and one of my personal favorite idols and singers of all time. The guitar work is pretty sick. Jim Root and Mick Thompson's guitar playing is pretty good. The bass playing, I think, on this album is pretty audible. I mean, this is, I believe, the first album with Alex. Well, I think he played on Point 5, The Great Chapter, but Alex's, or as he commonly known as V-Man's, bass playing is definitely heard well in the mix. Jay Weinberg, I honestly think he's a great drummer. He's way better than Joey Jordison, in my opinion, so Joey fans, come at me on this. But yeah, he could do no wrong. Sid Wilson, you could definitely tell his scratching and handling the 1 and 2s on the turntables are pretty great. Sampling from Craig Jones, I mean, he looks like he doesn't do anything if you see him on stage, but he does. And the percussion work is pretty tight from Clown, and like I said, I don't know if Chris was on the album before he was kicked out of the band, so yeah, I don't know. So yeah, without further ado, let's dive into this album track by track. Now, starting it off is the little intro called "Insert Coin," which is kind of like you're gonna insert coin and to begin this album. It's an almost interdimensional intro made possibly by Craig Jones, and the use of like Corey Taylor's disturbing hook, which is saying "I'm counting all the killers" is a sign of things to come. Then leading into the first single from the album called "Unsatan," which has a religious tone and also anti-religious. In fact, and this song begins with some intention building guitar notes of what would sound like a choir of children, sopranos, and basses ready to get all pastoral and all handles Messiah on your ass. And it's a good imagery. I mean, Corey Taylor joins in with the woes too, building a familiar favor for all Slipknot fans who know the band loves to bring drama with a good intro part. And from there, the song just grows into a pretty typical brutal drums and guitars in the verse of the song. Not to be too dissimilar, they're from the best of their back catalog of singles. This track has a very similar ABC format with a cool mosh pit part and a breakdown part in the middle with vocals all over it. And this is a hella catchy chorus that really chews on the remaining scenery, complete with like choral singers. And around the 4-minute 20 mark, the track feels like it's over pretty soon, but so there isn't like time to root around and chill. And they get really to the point and out of town real quick. Birth of the Cruel, which this song is pretty much less about melody and more about the chaotic nature of Slipknot that has been grounded for them over the years. And there's more in the way of the extra percussion from Sean, and if he took part of the recording Fane. But the real point is like from DJ Sid Wilson, which adds a new dimension, which is not really showcased before on other stuff. Death Because of Death, which is pretty much a burbling sound collage combined with like bleeps and blips from what kind of looping, lumbering percussion that evokes through Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It is slow and unsophisticated. It is coming to destroy you anyway. Neo Forte, which has a huge opening riff and stellar stick work from Jay, a man who has really come on his own from like We Are Not Your Kind, and a precise drumming to end thing, which also kind of like harks back to like some of their older stuff like Blister Exists. And then we go to Critical Darling, which the interlude on this song is pretty unsettling too. It's crunching sound effects from an old computer connecting to the internet, weaving around Corey's voice as he simpers, "Darling, you're so critical," before the song takes off again into a clattering blast of punishment. A Liar's Funeral. Now, this is actually one of the first of the experimental moments on this album. It has a very acoustic intro, and the verses are backed with like military-like drumming. And it has a very melancholic song, and it has a really great scream from Corey, and it also has a little bit of a somber feel to it. But in near the 4-minute mark, there's like a great guitar or solo. Red Flag, which sounds like something from Iowa when you first hear the song, and the pace of the song pretty much goes hard. It's all out war. It's a great lyrics, big hit for the fans. If you're a fan of like the first album and Iowa. What's Next, which it kind of is another one of the little interludes, which evokes like memories of like film or mystery from the original debut. I mean, there's like a lot of interludes on there, which kind of gets a little bit nuts. Anyway, that's just me. Moving on, which then goes to the next song, which is Spiders, which is an outstanding moment on here, which also has a little bit of a new ground for Slipknot. It has like a very good odd time signature. It also has a very goth feel and a creepy piano. And the bass on this song is really high well in the mix, because it's the first time you actually hear Man's bass playing, and it's some amazing backing vocals. The guitar solo on this song is sick, and I love it. It's very different. There's like weird electronics near the end. Overall, very interesting song. Then we go into Orphan, which has some great chugging guitars and insane double bass drumming, and just it also has a little bit of like a bizarre riff in like the pre-chorus of the song, which is weird. Then we go into My Pain, which is actually one of the weirdest songs on here. It's like the song has not even a shade of metal. It has like double tracked vocals, like one higher and one lower. It's like led with like a keyboard line. And then Not For Long For This World, which starts with a minute of like ambience before like the guitars kick in. It has like a bleak feel to it and a clean chorus in here. And then we go into the last song on the album, which is Solway Firth, which kicks off with a quiet, ominous intro, and the guitars breathing life into the tune while static and the sounds like of insects flow over. And Corey Taylor's vocals come in hauntingly as he sings to watch group of killers knocking on his mains. And Solway Firth then ramps up, hitting hitting each member hard as fuck. Fuck the band, knocking out a hell of a riff that bounces over some gigantic percussion and strange synthesizers. Yet, as quickly as they pick up the pace, Slipknot suddenly takes a left turn, flashing back into like the spacier repetitive before launching again to like the heaviness. Until Corey launches him one of his most vicious vocals to yet. I can't even speak today. As he masks, his cohorts follow suit, diving headlong into some of the most abrasive and challenging sounds of their career. And in the end, all roads lead to a breakdown that only Slipknot could deliver, injecting with disorienting samples and keyboard parts that the band loses in their collective mind. And that's pretty much it for this album. Well, this version. Of course, the Japanese version has the song Life, which was a song that was also, of course, a standalone single that they put out on Halloween, which, just like I said, it kind of reminds you a little bit of like Iowa and stuff. Kind of like starts off slow and just boom, hits you right in the face. Great song. And I feel like this should have been, I don't know why the fuck they didn't even put this on the main version, but it's only on the Japanese version. So yeah, We Are Not Your Kind by Slipknot is a really good album. I mean, they're pretty much one of my favorite bands, and I will still enjoy everything that these guys have done to this day. So it's kind of like different compared to The Great Chapter. So having a little bit of, like, I feel like the only thing I wish they could have done differently is like not use too much of those little interludes. There's like 3. I mean, I'm fine with like the first one in the insert coin, which then would lead it to Unsated, but that's just me. So if I would give this album a final score, I'm going to give this probably a solid 8 out of 10. It's a pretty good album. And I'm actually going to see them next month. They're playing in Alpharetta with Volbeat, Gojira, and Behemoth. So if anybody's going to that, I will see you there. Come say hi. So yep, thank you guys for watching this video. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about it. And I'll see you all in the next video. And as always, keep it metal.